everyone and welcome back. I honestly think this is maybe some of the best commentary I've ever done for Minecraft. There's a lot less stalling and a lot less sort of like, just like, oh, I have no idea what I'm gonna say now than usual, and that's quite nice to feel for once. Let's get enchanted. Right, trash. I don't know why I'm... Oh, that must have been from the room portal. Put the furnaces down. Let's get rid of this stuff as well. But yeah, I think I'm about done talking about my... Oh, actually, so yeah, so far, if you have... If I'm about to get attacked in a minute and you came to see how that happened from my perspective, uh, you might as well listen to a bit of my commentary. So yeah, I've been talking about my... I've been talking about my band's album so far, a lot. I've sort of... Who died? Slushy, no. But yeah, so I've just been sort of giving the rundown of the tracks on there and what they all mean, and I think yeah, I want to leave that topic off just by talking about my talking about the next part of that, which is the new song that I finished last month and what that's about. And yeah, I'm very excited by it. It's keeping on the same sort of like, you know, nature poetry theme as the rest of it. Oh, I didn't collect anywhere near enough iron for an anvil, which is a shame. We'll go and do that next. And we also have got enough gold for one more apple. That's why I've kept this. Sorry, let me drink my tea. Yeah, the reason I've kept the saplings is so we can grow trees underground if need to be. Yeah, the last song we wrote, the one I just finished the lyrics for, is titled "The Breaths of Desolation," and the concept behind it, I'm departing from the pure, like, you know, my experiences in nature stuff that was sort of driving the previous few albums, and I'm now basically the thing I was interested in exploring was it's still very nature focused because the band's sound has a lot of like folk in it. I think it would seem weird if I pivoted away from that, and it's basically about a battlefield, the aftermath of war, in which in which basically it's following the point of view of a soldier who dies in battle and then becomes a spirit flying over like the field and just seeing how much destruction that's caused. And it's basically I'm writing about how in the wake of these like human whims that lead to battle and war and the like, so much is destroyed. So much nature is lost. We've been here. Yeah, so much nature is lost, and it gradually reasserts itself and comes back. And yeah, it's basically told through the point of view of this soul of a dead soldier realizing what an impact they have had on the world, and sort of like, yeah, exploring how that feels in the aftermath. I need to leave. Oh god, okay. I need to get out of here. I need to get the fuck out of here right now. If we can find another branch of that mineshaft, wonderful. If not, I'm not going to that one. But yeah, so the Breaths of Desolation. And yeah, I think the verse I'm proudest of, the I find it unlikely that the release is out by the time this recording is. So you probably can't go and listen to the song, unfortunately. But yeah, the final two verses, I could not be more proud of. I think that's some of the best stuff I've ever written. Especially the last one, which is basically sort of after a very calm section, which is describing the soldier sort of floating over the world. Or is the Iron Man? Yeah, so we describe the soldier floating over the world, and then that's in like a very, very chill, folky section. And then it goes to like one of the most impressive things I've ever heard the instrumentalist write. Like, it's just this utterly unhinged heavy section, which floored me the first time I heard it. And yeah, and it sounds utterly chaotic. Goes into this guitar solo that's not really like anything else I've ever heard. It goes really like frenetic, and I tried to match that vibe with the lyrics. And unfortunately, this isn't a set I've heard sung or have said enough to, or have like read enough to remember off by heart. No, no, oh no, I got the first line. I've got it now. And I was the storm wind, and I was the air. I lashed at the mountains in ancient despair. The stars smouldered on, then started to fade, till all that remained was my dreadful black shape. And I was the flame, her radiant wrath, excising the shadows our banners had cast. And I was her hatred, and I was unfurled, the breaths of desolation that swept through the world. Yeah. Oh, hello. Zombie villager. Interesting. Yeah, it's effectively... That's his final sort of, like... I was going to go with, like, the earth feeling hollow, initially, and feeling sort of... Rather than rage, feeling hollowed out, but it matched the music too much to say hatred there. That wasn't a word choice I was initially planning on going with, and I debated over it for a long time, because it does change the intent of the line and the intent of the song by quite a bit. But I basically ended up deciding that this actually... You know, you sometimes just need to adapt what you're writing. Yeah, you do sometimes need to adapt what you're writing to fit with the rest of the music, right? You can't just do your own thing all the time and expect that to work. Touches are nice. And so yeah, so that's why I ended up changing it. But yeah, I think the title of the song is very important to what I'm trying to say with it. So the breaths of desolation is so. Oh my god. I was about to say the words I have generalized anxiety disorder while doing that. But yeah, I am diagnosed with like an anxiety disorder. I've gotten a lot better at managing it over the years, and I'm doing very well now in terms of that. I'm not like, you know, I used to like absolutely suffer with it, you know, daily panic attacks, and it's led me to some unbelievably dark places that I won't go into. But yeah, and basically, one of the things that stuck with me the most, and one of the things that still happens on the rarer occasions I get a panic attack nowadays, is that I feel like this sounds really weird, and nobody else I've spoken to has known what I'm talking about. If you know what I'm talking about, please comment that, because that would be like really... That would be fascinating, just to know I'm not alone in this. But it kind of feels like the air I breathe out is hollow. Like, there's nothing in my chest. And, yeah, it feels... I think it feels like you're breathing out dead air, is the way I'd describe it. And over the years, I came to... I at some point gave that... Like, I was thinking about how to write about this in, like, a poem. And I came up with the term, the breaths of desolation. Or, like, I think it was initially, like, my breath brings desolation, I breathe desolation, something like that. But I ended up going with the more general title, because I felt that was a bit more, I thought that was just a bit more impactful. Yeah, that's the one I've been in. And the song is effectively about the earth feeling the way I felt in those moments, in the aftermath of a war. So yeah, that's... And yeah, so basically what I've been getting at with this is that it, like, yeah, what I'm getting at is that using the word hatred in that last line rather than feeling like, you know, hopeless and desolate, it now feels like actively malevolent, which is a very big change in feel. And it does make the song come across a lot differently in those final moments. And I decided that I like that. I decided I'm gonna roll with it. And yeah, so I'm so excited to hear those last few lines sung, and the folk section as well. I think that has some pretty cool stuff where it sort of starts out with this really, like, mournful, clean voice, and then winds down into the last couple of lines are going to be me whispering. And I'm just excited to hear how that sounds on an actual album. I could have sworn I just saw a name tag. Well, if I did, it was really close, and we'll find out in a second here. I don't think I saw a name tag. Lost died to a blaze. But yeah, so I think that's basically a full recap of the band activity. I'm also working on... I've not started writing the lyrics to our newest song yet, because I'm thinking Breath of Desolation should be the only track on this collaboration. I think it's such a strong statement to release by itself. I think it's, you know, as I said, it's genuinely one of the best tracks I've heard in its genre. I want to release it on its own, but just in case, I'm writing the lyrics to another demo he came up with as well. And that song, I've not, like, decided on anything yet, but I think, you know, The Breath of Desolation is a heavy song, both, like, thematically and in terms of, like, you know, how it sounds. So for the other one, I wanted to go with something a bit more down to earth, and yeah, my idea for the experience to base it on was I quite recently, 2 months ago, went to a festival called The Call of the Crow in North Yorkshire. It was a camping festival, and it was, like, easily the worst weather I've ever camped in. There was, like, you know, storms basically for the whole weekend. I was setting up my tent in the pouring rain, and it could have been a really miserable weekend. I'm not going to bother with that, I don't think. And basically, yeah, I just remember lying in my tent on those nights and just feeling like, you know, the wind was about to buffet down the walls. And that, you know, I didn't know what I would do if that happened. I had no backup plan. And yeah, basically, that sort of made me feel like, you know, back in the days of yore, this must just be how people lived. This was how people slept. you know, in the middle of a storm, some like flimsy covering from like, you know, all that's protecting them from the wind and the rain. And basically I'm going to write a song about that. I believe I'm going to call it The Oldest Darkness, or The Eldest Darkness maybe, because I just like the imagery that conjures in my head of, you know, this is how night has always been. This is the oldest form of night. I'm bad at explaining that part, but yeah. So I have some like draft ideas for lyrics. I think the chorus is going to go kneel before the eldest darkness, kneel before the coldest night. I just really like the way those lines sound, and now I have the task of constructing the rest of the song to match that. Right, let's chill for a second here. Let's smelt our stuff, and then maybe go back to the surface for some more apples, or grow my saplings. I kept them for this reason. I should probably do that. And yeah, I guess while we're in this sort of little standstill, I can figure out what I should talk about next, now that I've finished with the, with Pandion stuff. That took us into, we're in like Ep 4 now, I think. It did take us far. The, maybe Ep 3, I'm not sure. But yeah, turns out when you talk about your creative projects in as much detail as I like to do, it takes a while to get through them. But yeah, I'm gonna take a bit of a break now. I have like my lunch in front of me that I've just not been eating, and I'm now thinking I should probably do that. So I think yeah, we're gonna take a bit of a break from the commentating. Just while I smelt my stuff, I'm gonna eat my lunch, and I'm gonna figure out what I want to talk about next. Oh, why is there milling an awful? Do you have a spawner somewhere around here? It surprised me. Yeah, I will, as soon as I come to like a sort of dead-ending cave, I will initiate what I said I would do. Because yeah, I do need a second to drink my tea and eat my sandwich. This seems kind of like as dead of an end as any. I mean, yeah, I think we're in the sort of like more surface zone of the cave now as well. I should be mining the redstone. Yeah, I'm not really going for the rewards because I've not really internalised what they are. Oh, okay, I know what I'm going to be talking about next, but I do need that break, so you'll have to give me a second. But yeah, it's the newest hobby I've taken up, which I've been enjoying greatly. Alright, start episode 4.